Hey, this is Ciara Hanna, aka the Yellow Power Ranger of Megaforce and Super Megaforce. They are doing an amazing job on YouTube and keeping up with all the latest on Power Rangers. So subscribe, see what's going on, and I'll be watching. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ciara. So, this here is Boom Studios' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic, issue 24. And this leads into Shattered Grid, a big event to coincide with the 25th anniversary of the Power Rangers franchise. The issue begins on the moon, with Rita finding out that Finster has placed monsters all over the Earth. Finster begins to explain what he was working on, that he has begun practicing with different human forms for the monster's outer shell, and that the monsters would be triggered by a secondary mutation. He tells Rita that he released 14 monsters in total, but 4 of them have already been destroyed. Rita tells Finster to activate all the remaining monsters. The plan is to have them all mutate into their monster forms and attack in one fell swoop, growing them all at the same time to overwhelm the Power Rangers. Finster reluctantly agrees to the plan. Clearly he's not pleased with this, as this arc has shown Finster wanting to cause chaos, with the unexpected element of his monsters turning. Back at Promethea, Lord Drakon and Billy get reacquainted. When Billy asks how Drakon ended up in his world, not even Drakon is sure, but he tells him that Billy's teammates opened a portal with the remains of the Black Dragon and the Chaos Crystal, which is when Drakon got pulled through, and he's been here since. Drakon notices that Billy is a little bigger, and that's because of the workouts Billy went through with Tommy following the end of the first arc. Billy then gets contacted by the other Rangers saying 10 monsters are attacking at once. Drakon tells Billy they'll be seeing each other real soon. And moments later, Billy teleports out of the chamber. We see here all the monsters are giant-sized, taking on the Dinozords. The Rangers wonder how the monsters are suddenly huge, as Finster doesn't have the power to make monsters grow like this. They are informed something has changed, and that change is just the fact that Finster had escaped. And somehow Saba is able to detect strong residual magic where Finster escaped from. So each Dinozord is in action, but they're outnumbered 10 to 6. But then Grace appears in her Mechazord to add additional firepower. Jason doesn't exactly want her help, as he says it's not her command decision. I know Jason has issues trusting Grace, but given the situation, I'd appreciate the help. Reluctantly, Jason has to go along with Grace's plan to teleport somewhere else, because the fact is, there are more monsters than Zords. So, the plan is for each Ranger to take down their monster as quick as they can, then get to the next one. What this shows is that each Dinozord can pretty much hold its own, although the Triceratops was under attack from Private Maze. Kibbley swoops in with the pterodactyl though to take out the monster. But then the monsters begin to lose their energy and they start dropping. Zack has no clue what's happening to them, as they just stopped attacking in battle. Rita watches on and asks Finster what's happening to the monsters. He tells her that the monsters already grew, but were not structurally designed to withstand a second growth. So Rita making them giant-sized weakened them. When asked why Finster didn't tell her that, he tells her that she was instructing him what his role was at the time, and he coolly tells her, "I took that to mean you knew best." This comic book version of Finster is great, as he's willing to talk back at Rita in a sense. With all the monsters weakened, Jason decides to bring together the Megazord to take down all the monsters with the Power Sword. The Dragonzord and Mechazord also take out the monsters they were battling with. And after destroying all those monsters, Billy tells the Rangers there's something they need to know. So back at Promethea, Grace disembarks the Mechazord, telling the mechanic more work needs to be done on the Mechazord. But she then turns to see the Power Rangers waiting there for her. With Jason's arms crossed, he's clearly not pleased. And so the Rangers come face to face with Drakon once again. Obviously, as Drakon is evil Tommy, he taunts the good Tommy by saying he was allowed to stay on the team, as the Rangers liked weaklings. Grace begins to tell the Rangers why Drakon is being held at Promethea. She says they were monitoring energy spectrums and there was a spike when Drakon arrived in the Rangers' universe. but then Jason goes off to talk to Grace in another room. He demands to know when Grace was going to tell him. She says she was waiting for the right time. Not a good enough answer for him, as Jason properly gets angry at this stage. It's not the Jason we were used to seeing on TV. Grace tells Jason she's aware of Drakon's background and that he would kill them all on this world. She says that everything she's done has been without malicious intent, and reminds Jason that she's trying to make the Red Ranger helmet lighter by taking the burden off him. Still, Jason can't bring himself to accept Grace's methods, and tells her he's not going to let Grace risk the lives of the team. Suddenly, the Rangers enter with Zordon speaking from Zack's communicator, telling the Rangers it'd be better to discuss the situation at the command center. Once back, Tommy says the Rangers should take Drakon themselves, because he's too dangerous to be left at Promethea. Saba agrees, speculating that if Rita found out about him, things could get worse. Zack doesn't know where they could hold Drakon though, as Finster was able to escape the pocket's dimension. So that's not as secure as they thought. Zordon tells the Rangers to take the evening off, as they've been through quite a lot in the last few days. But he does want a word with Jason. He asks him how he feels about Grace. It's a bit of a pep talk, as Jason says Grace's methods can make for a slippery slope, and he has trust issues because he's not sure if Grace would have told the Rangers about Drakon. He decided to trust her, but that put the Rangers at risk, and compares himself to Grace. Zordon says Grace did not fail in the events of 1969, but he did, because he sent in a team unprepared. Now, we hear from Zordon that he thinks Grace has used that experience to better the world, although some of her decisions were misguided. So it's good to hear that Zordon does have some praise for her, given that in 1969 he didn't want Grace to remain a Power Ranger, because Rangers weren't designed to better the world, but to defend it. Finally, Zordon tells Jason that Grace's words hold truth, in that they control only what they can, but they must also recognize when things are out of their hands. This gets Saba thinking. We next see him at Promethea in front of Drakon, which surprised him, as he was unaware Saba came through from his world too. Saba tells Drakon he cannot stand idly by, whilst Drakon remains in his cell, biding his time. Just as Drakon asks him what he's going to do, Saba charges up and fires a beam which takes out a cable, effectively allowing Drakon to break free from his restraints. Saba continues firing beams at Drakon, but is caught by Drakon's hand and has his head snapped off. Drakon retains the saber elements of Saba and conjures up a spell. He picks up Saba's head back up from the ground, and that's where the issue ends. Saba was a bit rash in this issue. He knew what happened in his world and obviously didn't want the same to happen in this one. But going alone and firing energy beams was a stupid move, as that freed Drakon. What would have made more sense is if Saba just stabbed Drakon. Obviously the writers couldn't do that because Drakon would be dead, and then there'd be no Shattered Grid event coming up. I just feel Saba's apparent death here was a bit silly. So anyway, things are shaping up nicely for the Shattered Grid event marking the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers. We can see here from these images that other teams such as Time Force will be appearing in the comic. And I thought it'd be fitting to get a Power Ranger who starred in an anniversary series to be part of this video. So big thanks to Ciara Hanna. Please subscribe to keep up to date with what's happening with Shattered Grid.